In November 2023, Kelsey Fitzsimmons began her career as a full-time officer with the North Andover Police Department. It was the culmination of years of work building a career in law enforcement. Just a few months earlier, she had purchased her first home. 125 Phillips Brooks Road needed work, but it was in a great location right in town. Her father completed nearly all of the renovations himself, including a full remodel and the installation of a security system. It was around this time that Kelsey began dating Justin. He was a firefighter in town, and they were both first responders, serving the same community. They appeared very happy together, and their relationship would become more serious over the next year. On July 21st, 2024, they were thrilled to learn that Kelsey was pregnant. And by fall, Kelsey and Justin were engaged to be married. On February 16, 2025, Kelsey gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Life for the young couple seemed to be on track. Their wedding was scheduled. They were living in a newly renovated home. Both had stable, well-paying jobs, and the family was growing. Everything was heading in the right direction. Approximately 3 weeks after the birth of their son, Kelsey was experiencing symptoms of postpartum depression. She received care at Lawrence General Hospital, where she was diagnosed and began outpatient treatment. The condition is very common. Approximately 1 in 7 mothers experience it, characterized by persistent feelings of extreme sadness, anxiety, and exhaustion. And it's temporary. With treatment, most women see significant improvement or full recovery in 3 to 6 months. But there's a very important distinction that needs to be made. Postpartum in itself does not carry with it a threat to the child's physical safety. In fact, harm to an infant is so exceedingly rare that its incidence is statistically negligible and cannot be reliably estimated. By May, Kelsey was doing well. She spent Mother's Day with Justin and the baby. But Justin became intoxicated, and the celebration devolved into verbal abuse.
You are such a fucking terrible person. All I came up here to do is to fucking be with you and maybe fucking have any indication of fucking kissing it. Nope.
Kissing me? You came up here to yell at me.
Came up here to yell at you? You're a fucking terrible. You're yell at you?
Thank you. You did come up here to yell at me. That's exactly what you came here to do.
Sure. Can you put the light on, please, so I can get the fuck out of here?
You fell over in the bathtub. You fell over up the stairs, and you're embarrassed. And I called you out on it because I just want you to go to bed and wake up in the morning and go to your training. But all you want to do is insult me. So thank you. That's like super fucking nice. I'm sitting here rocking our baby, and you say,
Kelsey,
oh.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay. Still have our little baby in my arms.
Yep.
But,
no,
okay.
You're right. That was the first time of me yelling, but only the 10th or 12th time of you doing that.
No, this is not the first time of you yelling. Can you please put the light on?
Because I am out of here. I'm not doing this. I'm leaving. Please put the light on that you just had.
You're leaving after I just got you to maybe lay down and be able to go to your training.
Nope. Good for you.
like, not be drunk and
Yeah,
go
no,
to your
that's
training?
fine.
Yo, what? Like, I don't understand.
Can you put this on, please?
What on, dude? Like, what is going on? It's the middle of the night. You're fucking freaking out. I don't get this. I do not get this at all. You fell in the shower, you slammed your head. You fell in the living room, you slammed your head. You came up here, you started freaking the fuck out, saying you're all done, you want to go home. Like, what are you doing? Like, seriously, what are you doing? What is the point in all of this? What are you doing?
Thank you very much, Kelsey. You have said a lot, and you have been very, very helpful.
I've said little to
much.
nothing. All I've said is I want you to lay down and go to bed so you can go to your training in the morning and not have an issue.
You know what? You are fucking brutal.
Okay. I'm fucking brutal because I want you to lay down, go to bed, relax, go to your training in the morning, and be normal.
Yep.
Right?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I don't know if, like, you're, like, pretending to agree with me or...
Yep. No, absolutely.
Please don't fall down the stairs. Oh, my God. Oh, okay. Jesus Christ. I'm so fucking nervous right now. I'm so fucking nervous right now.
On June 28th, the couple went away on a trip to this Airbnb rental in Bethel, Maine. They were there with a group of friends, celebrating their bachelor and bachelorette parties together. Earlier in the day, Kelsey had driven up with a friend. During the drive, her friend informed her that Justin had stashed a bag of psychedelic mushrooms in the vehicle, inside her glove compartment, presumably because he didn't want to risk getting caught transporting them himself. But Kelsey was a police officer in the process of obtaining clearance to return to active duty. If she were to get in trouble for possessing illegal drugs, her career would be over. She was furious that he had hidden the drugs in the car without telling her, and insisted that he not use them over the weekend. But it wasn't only that. For the first time ever, they were without their baby. He was over 3 hours away with Justin's parents, scheduled for a medical procedure in the coming days. The last thing she wanted was for an emergency to occur while Justin was incapacitated and unable to respond. Kelsey brought Justin into a room and confronted him in private. She told him he was not to take the psychedelics on their trip, and that he never should have hidden them in the car without telling her. According to Kelsey, Justin gets angry and pushes her aside. He would later claim that she hit him 3 times, but we've seen no photos or evidence of injuries, only his word. As the argument escalated, their guests became involved, and the conflict spilled into the common area. The scene became chaotic. Alcohol fueled the hostility. One of Justin's sisters tries to attack Kelsey and is restrained by other guests. She becomes even more aggressive, kicking and punching the people holding her back. She's locked out of the house to keep her away from Kelsey, but sneaks back in through a basement door. She shouts,
"Next time I see you, it's on sight, bitch!"
a threat,
Ashley, stop!
meaning the next time they meet, Kelsey will be attacked.
Calm down, Ashley.
This causes Kelsey to leave. She asks her brother to drive her home and calls her mother back in Massachusetts, requesting for her to pick up the baby from Justin's parents' house. She agrees, and they all meet back at Kelsey's home very early in the morning. Kelsey was home with the baby and her mother. She was sending Justin text messages, lots of them, saying she needs him and asking him to come home.
If you care at all about me and your son, you will call me right now. I'm being so serious. I need to talk to you. Please come home to us. It's not normal to run away from problems like this, making them worse. Come home to your son and your wife. We don't need to talk about anything, but I can't handle doing this alone. Please come home to Caden. Please come home to your son. He needs you, Justin. I have work tomorrow. We need you. Take your time and come home before he goes to bed. The police just came to my house, ?
That was the moment she noticed a cruiser pull in. North Andover police show up to perform a wellness check. They said they had received information that the night before, Kelsey and her brother had sideswiped another guest's car from the party, while driving on the highway, causing damage to both vehicles, and then speeding off. A very serious accusation of committing a hit and run. This made no sense to Kelsey. She told the officers the incident simply never happened. To prove it, she called her brother and had him show them his black Cadillac, which had no damage whatsoever, not even a scratch. The officers were satisfied that everything was fine. They apologized, saying that being called to check on Kelsey like this was a waste of their valuable time and resources, and left. It would come out later, in Justin's police interview, why Kelsey was investigated for being involved in an accident.
On the way home, two of her friends, Cassie and Deandra, had also left because they never wanted to talk to her again. On the way home on the highway, they got into a hit and run. Someone had hit them and taken off. They believed that it was little Willie's car, just based off of the black car. They thought it was a Cadillac, and they truly thought Kelsey was in the state of mind and had the ability to take that wheel and swing it over and hit them. So they thought.
So they were in a separate car.
They were in a separate car, and they, looking at Kelsey's location after that, they're like, we think Kelsey might have actually just tried to run us off the road.
This baseless accusation from two of Kelsey's bridesmaids reveals how the group had fed into each other's paranoia. They knew she wasn't driving, but that didn't matter. They had convinced themselves that Kelsey grabbed the wheel from her brother and tried to run them off the highway. They tracked her GPS location, and even though it couldn't have placed Kelsey at the scene when the accident occurred, they still allowed themselves to believe it. This pattern plays out again and again in the coming days. Outlandish accusations are made against Kelsey based off of their own projections of what they expect she will do, but never backed up with real evidence. Then they run to the police with these wild ideas that exist only in their imaginations. Justin arrives with his father to remove his firearms from the home. According to Kelsey, he ignores the baby, even though she asked him multiple times if he wanted to see him. And he ignored Kelsey. He refused to acknowledge her at all when she tried to speak to him. Justin leaves after getting his firearms with no issues.
You got everything? Good? Yeah, I'm good.
Were you seeking to see Justin Elaine that day?
Yes, we had spoken through text and on the phone in the morning.
You made a plan to meet up in North Andover?
It was quick. It was, Kelsey, I'm on my way to North Andover right now. My mom just gave me gas money. I'll meet you at the Common at 2. And I said, okay, I love you, bye. And the phone call had already hung up.
Before they meet, she would attend her CPR recertification training. Kelsey and the baby head to the North Andover police station.
I had CPR training at 1 p.m. on the 30th, scheduled.
Was that your last thing you had to kind of go through?
That was it. Yep.
This is one of the preparations required for her to go back on active duty.
Perfect, you got it.
She completes the training session. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. Although multiple officers know what's going to happen later, they keep it from her. Kelsey leaves the police station. She makes her way to the North Andover Town Common to meet Justin. On the way there, she passed by one of their friends' homes. She noticed Justin's car outside, along with the cars of some of their friends who were still in town for the main trip, and of Justin's family.
When I drove by, I saw Justin's truck. I saw my maid of honor's car. I know I saw his sister, Courtney, Justin's sister, and I know I saw Michelle Mitchell, which was another one of my bridesmaids. So I was like, what is going on? I was supposed to be meeting Justin, and Justin was at our mutual friend's house with people, and I just was so thrown off. I was confused. So I tried calling Justin, and then that's when it just communication stopped.
She waited a while for him to show up, then went for the walk without him. At that very same moment, Justin was making a phone call.
Hey, this is Justin again. I'm just calling Lieutenant Whitaker back. I just missed his call, unfortunately.
Yeah, Justin, it's me.
Oh, okay. How you doing, sir? I had a couple quick questions for you again.
Yeah.
So she's messaging me telling me that she's planning on taking the baby up to the land in New Hampshire. Do I have any rights to make sure that she does not leave with that child?
At this point, I don't think we do. I've spoken to my superior.
Yeah.
Filled him in on everything that we talked about, and we don't really have the right to deny her child.
Do I have any rights as the father to obtain my child since she's had him for several nights now? Do I have any right to, hey, this is the custody, we're both parents here. It's almost my turn to have the kid for the night, so I can know that he's safe and I can go file these after?
Through the police department, no, we don't have that ability. The only way that you would be able to do that if you spoke directly to her and said, I'd like some time with the baby, and if she agrees to that, great. But it sounds like she's
not
probably not gonna be. Yeah.
I have my sister who's
Hey
had a
there.
quick question for you as well.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of this, and so I'm on the page. We need to get the baby out of her hands now, or something really bad could happen. And I know you guys have talked a bit about this, but I am just wondering, is there any difference if she were to try to take the baby out of the state? Does that go against anything? Because that's what she's threatening with. Does the state matter at all? The state lines?
It really doesn't. It's her child.
It doesn't. Okay.
Yeah.
One other question for you, because I think, we're talking about going to the courthouse. How do we, and especially because she is a police officer in this town and everyone talks, and I'm just wondering, if we go file this, how do we, because if she finds out that this is filed before it's being addressed, it's going to end really horribly. So how do we actually ensure, and I guess, do you know anything about that process? Would a police officer come with us or with Justin to the house to get the baby? If this is assuming the custody was ordered, that the restraining order and the custody were ordered, what does that look like? Because we're very worried she'd find out before it could actually take place.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then the way, if an order is granted, they will then email a copy of the order to us for service. So we would serve it and then enforce it. So it would be like, here's your restraining order. Per the order, custody of the child is awarded to Justin, in which case we would have to make arrangements, for him to come take the child.
So he would not be there when you're presenting that. I mean, this might be an obvious question, I guess, because if he has the restraining order, he shouldn't be there.
Probably not. Guys... I mean, we should probably take care of that. It's okay if he wants to be close by, in order to take custody of the child quickly.
Yeah, right.
He could come if he's in town, you know, we could then reach out to him and say, okay, she's been served. You can come pick up the child now.
Okay. One, just to, I guess, make sure that, because I know you guys will get notified if there is an emergency order put through. Like, I mean, she's an officer, of course. What does she have access to see? I'm just like, is there a way to flag this directly to, you know, the trusted?
No, when it gets sent to the officer in charge. So nobody sees that except the officer in charge and anyone else who has access to that email, which she does not.
Okay, so that's reassuring. So I'm just trying to make sure there's no chance she could find out before this happens.
Did she catch wind while she was at the police station of anything occurring? Like,
nope.
No. Okay.
Nope. I didn't want to tip her off and give her the opportunity to do anything rash.
Thank you. All right, officer. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
The past few days had been an emotional roller coaster. First, the blowout up in Maine. Then Justin came to take his firearms out of the house. She was still recovering from postpartum depression while taking the necessary steps to go back on active duty, all while caring for their infant son, without any help from Justin. She was hopeful when he asked her to meet. Now he was ghosting her, not answering any of her calls or text messages. Afterwards, Kelsey called friend and co-worker Eric Sowade. He's a certified mental health officer and was familiar with what had been happening in her life. He was on shift that day. Kelsey told him what Justin had done and kept him updated as things developed. She leaves the park and makes the short drive back home. Kelsey and the baby return from the park at 3:06. The timestamp is 1 hour behind. She glances at her phone, likely checking to see if Justin has called. After being stood up, noticing the cars parked at their friend's house, and getting completely ghosted, we can assume Kelsey could sense something wasn't quite right.
When you first got home, what did you do?
I made Kate in a bottle.
But what she had no way of knowing was that over the past few hours, the wheels were turning against her.
I went to the Lawrence District Court. I would want to say I got there around 2:33-ish. At that point, I filled out the documentation for the 201. That I went in front of the judge, around 4:30-ish, I want to say.
Okay.
That was granted. At that point, it was faxed over to the police station. I went to the police station with a copy. My sister was with me during that.
At 5:49, Lieutenant Daly, Officer Nunan, and Officer Houston arrived to serve Kelsey the restraining order, including the removal of all firearms from the residence and to obtain custody of the baby. For unknown reasons, they made the decision not to bring with them a family services caseworker, mental health clinician, or crisis intervention specialist. And this situation certainly qualifies as a crisis. They are going to take a 4-month-old baby away from his mother, who had been suffering from postpartum depression, which Justin had warned them about ahead of time. There were at least 3 trained mental health officers on the force, but none of them came on this call.
I opened the door and Lieutenant Daly immediately put his foot on my front porch and we didn't just come in, and I was like, okay, all right.
She had absolutely no reason to expect the police. Just hours earlier, Justin told her he wanted to talk and work things out. Their sudden presence would have made no sense to her. Patrick Nunan. He is the officer who will shoot Kelsey, with the black gloves he's already wearing. His actions will become the central point of contention in the case. His conduct, his story, and the circumstances under which he uses deadly force all come into question. With the baby in her arms, Kelsey leads the 3 men into the living room.
Lieutenant Daly asked me to put Caden down in his car seat. I was in the middle of feeding him, so when I put him down, he was obviously crying, and I was like, whatever this is, I'm gonna hold my son. that's when Lieutenant Daly said, Justin filed a restraining order against you. He said that Caden was on it as well, and...
Did that affect your state of mind?
Yes.
How so?
I knew in that moment I was going to have to hand my 4-month-old to a police officer. As I was packing things, I was like, okay, Justin just broke up with me via restraining order. We have a wedding in 4 months. Caden is not going to be with me for 2 weeks. That's an eternity for a mom, any mom. And everyone was just brushing over the fact that it was 2 weeks. And I was like, 2 weeks without Caden? Like, I just kept, in my mind was just going fast. Like, I can't work overtime because I have a son now. I can't afford my home by myself without overtime. It was just, I lost everything. Even my doggy was on the restraining order. Maverick, my dog Maverick, was on the restraining order. So, my son...
Was he your dog or Justin's dog?
He was my dog. So I saw my baby go, my fiance, my dog, my house. And I knew that was going to be my job too. Because whatever I was accused of wasn't good if at restraining order.
And you didn't have the affidavit?
No.
Only minutes ago, Justin had been granted an emergency abuse prevention order. He alleged that Kelsey had made statements threatening to harm both herself and the baby. But there's absolutely no evidence of this, and she vehemently denies the allegations. It's exactly the kind of claim one makes when they want to ensure a request is approved. But right now, it didn't really matter. The order was in motion. Nothing was going to stop it. To Kelsey, this was the most devastating scenario imaginable. This entire ordeal rested only on Justin's word. Now there's 3 men with guns in her living room, taking her baby away. Only 3 minutes after they arrive, Lieutenant Daly calls Justin to let him know he should come. What she was experiencing must have felt like a waking nightmare, and it was about to get much worse. Kelsey is anxiously waiting for her mother to return from the pharmacy. She needs the support of a family member. Lieutenant Daly appears to be growing impatient. With temperatures above 90 degrees, the oppressive heat only intensified the tension of the situation. Kelsey appears to be asking him questions about what's happening, and of course he's been trained to deflect, giving as little clarification as possible. Likely saying, none of this is up to him, and he's only there to execute the order. That may be true, but responsibility for the avoidable disaster that was about to unfold falls squarely on his shoulders. This would have been an ideal moment for a family crisis specialist to step in, someone to calm Kelsey, offering reassurance that the order was temporary and that legal avenues existed to contest it. The lieutenant seems to already sense that this is not going well.
I was asked to pack a bag for Caden for about 2 weeks.
Officer Houston and Officer Nunan escort Kelsey around the home to pack supplies.
Did you say anything to the officers about the location of your firearms?
Yes, I did.
What did you say?
I told them that they were in the basement.
Was that true?
No,
Why did you tell them that?
because I didn't want them to take them away.
Why not?
Because I wanted to be alone with my firearm and take my life.
When did you make that decision?
I made that decision as I realized I had just lost everything in a 15-second conversation with my coworker.
Where were your firearms?
They were upstairs in a green safe
In your bedroom?
in my bedroom.
Kelsey goes upstairs with the 2 officers to gather clothes for the boy. The second floor of 125 Phillips Brooks Road is a tight space, with low vaulted ceilings. On the left side is the baby's room. Directly across the hall is the master bedroom. This is where, in a few minutes from now, Kelsey will be shot in the chest. The officers become aware that someone is arriving. Officer Houston goes downstairs to assist.
Somebody asked me, who is that downstairs? And I said, I have no idea.
Leaving Officer Nunan and Kelsey alone in the master bedroom. Her mother rushes to the house. This will turn out to be the worst day of her life. She walks past the cruisers parked outside as she hustles to the door. And then, immediately confronted with a jarring image, an armed officer standing there with her grandson in his arms. You can see that she is genuinely perplexed. The three officers are out of their depth. What should have been controlled and methodical is quickly turning chaotic. Kelsey's mother is allowed to hold the baby, but only momentarily. Justin and his sister arrive approximately 45 seconds after Kelsey's mother. The police made a critical miscalculation by allowing him inside the house. Officers were there to serve Kelsey with a restraining order on Justin's behalf. Tensions were already high. But Kelsey doesn't know they're there. Only 90 seconds after they arrive, his sister removes the baby from the home. Justin follows, carrying supplies to his car, but he's not leaving just yet. Justin returns. He requests to re-enter the home to retrieve more items. The officer grants permission and allows him in. He proceeds to the basement, where most of his property is stored. At this time, what Kelsey states happened is that she was folding clothes in her bedroom. She asked Officer Nunan to carry belongings downstairs for her. She wanted to be alone in her room.
What was your state of mind about whether or not you wanted to involve any police officers in that?
I didn't want to involve anybody. I was trying to get everybody away from me.
When you went to go get that firearm, was there anyone in your view in that landing?
No. I grabbed the gun, took 2 steps backwards, but I put the gun up to my head.
When Nunan appears again, she's already holding it to the side of her head. She pulls the trigger, but the gun only clicks. Nunan draws. He panics. Then he shouts,
"Kelsey, no! Kelsey, no!"
He fires 1 round and misses what should have been an easy point-blank shot. Then fires a 2nd round, hitting Kelsey in the center right side of her chest.
Can you tell us what you heard?
It was Kelsey, no, bang, bang.
Dispatch, 998. 1 person down, GSW to the chest. We need a 1052 code 3. Shots fired. Shots fired. Copy unit 4. 998 at 125 Phillips Brooks. Squad is not looking good. Get an ambulance here now.
with us, Kelsey.
Officer Nunan watches as they wheel Kelsey away. He's just discharged his weapon twice, at close range. Once into her air conditioner, and once into her chest. Although the shooting has stopped, he is still firmly in the grip of fight or flight. We can presume his bloodstream is flooded with adrenaline. His pulse remains elevated, racing somewhere between 115 to 145 beats per minute. The physical effects are matched by intense psychological shock. The brain replays the moment he squeezed the trigger again and again in brutal clarity. The movement, the sound of the gun, the absolute silence that followed. Every detail loops as the weight of what's just happened comes crashing down. Officer Nunan begins to confront the fact that in all likelihood she will not survive. Soon, investigators will begin asking very serious questions, and he'd better have the right answers. There's no room for ambiguity over his use of force. Lieutenant Daly appears from inside the home. Even without hearing their words, we feel the tone of what's being said. They know this is bad. Daly shrugs his shoulders, but he shouldn't be surprised. Every step of the way, they made mistakes. Instead of executing the restraining order, somehow they've executed one of their own officers. What they say and do next will determine just how bad this blows back at them.
We're going to take you to the scene earlier tonight and tell you what we do, in fact, know. A North Andover police officer showed up at this home on Phillipsbrook Road at 6:30 this evening to serve a court order, and somehow there was an armed confrontation leading to the officer firing a gun. The person inside the home was taken to the hospital, as we mentioned, with serious injuries. There was a heavy police presence around the home for a few hours. Now that home is situated right next to a school parking lot, and police asked that we stay in the staging area at least up until the last few minutes. And again, a very active investigation. The Essex County District Attorney and the Massachusetts State Police Unit assigned to this case are investigating a lot of details to unfold. But again, this shooting did involve an off-duty North Andover police officer and an on-duty North Andover police officer.
Officer Houston claims he went downstairs when Justin arrived, leaving Nunan and Kelsey alone in the bedroom. He stated that Kelsey was kneeling, folding laundry to pack for the baby. And while he was standing in the doorway, from a kneeling position, she suddenly lunged toward an area behind the door, then reappearing with a pistol pointed at his face. He said she pulled the trigger, but no round was fired. She began to stand up. He pulled his firearm out of its holster, claiming that Kelsey was trying to rack the weapon to chamber a round. He shouts several commands to Kelsey.
Drop the gun! Don't do it!
Now he knew for sure she was trying to kill him. He fires one round, but she did not comply. fearing for his life. He fires again. Now this is a much more neat and tidy version of events. Instead of attempting to take her own life, she was dead set on killing Nunan. This young mother, who was recovering from depression, decided for no apparent reason to lunge for a gun and shoot her fellow officer, whom she actually liked, at point-blank range. Intent on a shootout, a blaze of glory. The same woman who was calm and holding her baby just 11 minutes ago, all of a sudden transforms into a stone-cold killer.
She developed some sort of a homicidal animus towards you for what Justin Elaine just did to her, right?
I don't think it was, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know Justin was in the house. I think I was standing in her way for her to get downstairs and kill Justin.
The idea that Kelsey would do this is completely absurd, adding in the fact that she believed her own mother and infant were downstairs and she didn't even know Justin was there. But that is the implication of their unbelievable narrative. That Officer Kelsey Fitzsimmons is capable of mass murder, suggesting she would simply kill everyone, her fiancé, her mother, her baby, and 3 cops she worked with. It just doesn't make sense, and none of it is consistent with postpartum. But let's put that aside and indulge this theory. Why in the world would Kelsey need to lunge for the gun when she was free to simply take a few steps and pick it up? Nunan wasn't expecting anything because he didn't know it was there. Making a sudden aggressive move would eliminate the element of surprise. It sounds like a detail that was added to explain how she was able to get him at gunpoint. Something investigators would want to know. But it just doesn't fit the situation. Neither scenario would have required for Kelsey to lunge. There's also the issue with his statement that she lunged to an area behind the door. The problem is, there's never been a door in the master bedroom. We can say this for sure, because Kelsey's father removed it when he renovated the home. The truth is, there's no reason to believe Kelsey was a danger to anyone but herself. Is it not far more plausible that after losing everything she simply wanted to end her own life? Kelsey would later respond to the allegations. In a letter released by her attorney Tim Bradle, she states, "I never pointed my firearm at the officer. That officer was not just a colleague, he was my friend. That officer and I experienced a very difficult and sad call for service together last summer. That call for service that day was a true tragedy and caused this officer and I to build a friendship due to experiencing it together. We entered the home and walked into something no human being should ever see, a murder scene with a mother and her infant. As a rookie police officer, this was devastating to me. At the time I was 20 weeks pregnant. The officer that shot me experienced this call with me. To this day, his support during that hard time is something I am still grateful for, regardless of this recent incident that occurred. This traumatic murder call was the catalyst for my mental health complications. As a police officer myself, I would never even think to intentionally hurt another police officer. I see everyone in uniform as my brothers and sisters. I especially would never hurt my friend who has a loving wife and children. I just would never. My firearm was never pointed in any direction other than my temple. When I pulled the trigger, my gun did not fire. However, I immediately got shot in chest by my colleague and friend. I am extremely grateful for 2 things. That God protected me from my attempt of taking my own life, and protected me by millimeters from dying from that gunshot wound to my chest. I will survive and thrive. I know I need to be on this earth for many reasons, but most importantly, my beautiful son. This is my covenant with God and my son." The call Kelsey and Nunan had previously responded to together was truly something that no person should ever see. An unimaginably gruesome scene. In the news report footage, we see them outside the home where it took place. They bonded over the trauma they experienced.
We were on the same shift for a brief time. on one of our shifts, there was a really horrible call.
So we'll get to that, but just
Okay.
generally in terms of your relationship.
That's just like how our relationship kind of even started. That's why I brought it up. That's how we became like texting each other and kind of more than just like, you're just my coworker and I never talked to you, to we've had conversations and talked about personal things.
So I don't believe for a second that Kelsey pointed her weapon at him, nor pulled the trigger. What makes more sense is that he was caught off guard, panicked, and took the only action available to him in the moment.
Kelsey!
To prevent her from harming herself. The problem is, he could never admit that, especially when it was unclear if she would leave the hospital alive. Because doing so would place 100% of the liability on himself and the department. He is well aware that shooting people in an effort to prevent them from hurting themselves is not in the handbook.
Last evening, shortly after 6 p.m., 3 North Andover police officers went to 125 Phillips Brook Road. The purpose of going there was to serve a court-approved restraining order. The subject of the restraining order was 28-year-old Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Ms. Fitzsimmons was an off-duty North Andover police officer. 3 North Andover police officers were on the scene, one of whom was a supervisor. When one of the officers was escorting Ms. Fitzsimmons during the service of the court order, an armed confrontation took place. One of the responding officers discharged their weapon, which struck Ms. Fitzsimmons once. She was immediately given medical care. She was med-flighted to a Boston hospital, and as of this morning, we're told she is in stable condition.
Is there any body camera footage of what happened?
We're actually looking to see what camera footage is available. I have not seen any, and I don't have any reports on any.
Do North Andover police officers typically have body cameras?
No, the North Andover Police Department does not use body cameras at this time.
Can you speak at all to her mental health?
I'm not comfortable speaking on that at this time.
Chief, she was on a member of the department. Did she know the officers who were coming to her home? Did everyone know each other?
I would assume so, yes.
We've already met this morning. As of right now, I can't tell you what those charges will be, except to say that our senior trial team will be working with the detectives, and to the extent that charges will come forward, they will fit what took place here.
Justin?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm told that the plan is if anybody does show up to give us a call, we'll be there immediately. We're very limited today on staff, but if there's any issue at all, we'll be there momentarily.
All right, I'm going to have it noted that if something does happen, I requested 2 times for a police officer to be there from the beginning. I want that noted because I will escalate this further because this is not right from given the situation that occurred in that house and the potential for something else to happen. My family should have never been in that position in the first place. Now I'm requesting something that should be placed there, and you're telling me no several times. That right there is not right.
Justin, it's Katie. We spoke yesterday.
We did speak yesterday. We did speak yesterday. But given the intense nature of this situation and what could occur, I'm going to be there for 2 to 3 hours. I know what her father is capable of. I know what could happen.
But
the pressure media are there. I'm just telling you.
I understand the stressful situation, but what we spoke to yesterday was that we weren't going to prevent you from going in the house, but if something happened, you could call us right away and we'd be there. And that was what we spoke.
Okay, no, we did speak about that, and after thinking about it again, I wanted to make my concerns noted 2 times. So if something does happen, if something does occur, this will be noted, and I have no problem escalating it further. I appreciate your time. Thank you, and have a good day.
What time are you heading over there?
I will be there at 9:30 with 5 or 6 other men. It's going to take a couple hours.
All right. Well, that's there was no formal request at a certain time, Justin. I understand.
I understand that. I went through Crystal as well. I asked Crystal. Crystal said she would ask as well. That never coming back to me. This is a formal request. I called yesterday. You gave me this information. I'm calling again this morning, and I'm telling you that. You guys do last-minute details every single day. This is a last-minute detail. Yesterday would have been a detail that was not last minute.
Would you like a detail?
I am not paying for a detail.
Okay, all right,
My
I'm just
family
trying to-
should have never been in that situation. My child and myself should have never happened. I will absolutely escalate whatever I have to do. If I'm saying that I don't feel comfortable and I don't want to put my brother again, my friends into a situation where something could occur, or if you knew what happened, I don't know what her family would be capable of at this point. They've already filed negligence against me as the father when there has been nothing. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they would be capable of. But if you want to wait and find out, that is on you. And I am glad this is a recorded line.
Okay.
So I will be there at 9:30. If you do not have someone there, all of my concerns have been noted. Thank you for your time and goodbye.
While Kelsey was critically injured in the hospital fighting for her life, Justin and 3 friends broke into her home. And if this man with the cap looks familiar to you, there's a very good reason for that. He was one of the North Andover firemen who responded to the shooting just a few days earlier. First, he helped save her life. Now he was back to help remove property from her home. Their first order of business was to destroy the surveillance system, causing thousands of dollars in damage. According to defense allegations, they tore the modem out of its wiring. They stole cash, gift cards, Kelsey's passport, her laptop, and other valuables.
So you said that you were over on Phyllis Brooks gathering some belongings?
Yep. Grabbed my belongings. The alarm did go off. They had changed the locks. The alarm did go off. Her dad has he set the full system up. He has everything. He's going to know the alarms went off, and I have no doubt in my mind he's going to be driving down from New Hampshire to show up here.
Okay. Whereabouts from New Hampshire would he be coming from?
He's up in the not the Rochester. I forget exactly what town he's in. He's probably about 40 minutes away, 30 minutes away. I don't know if he's coming, but I have no doubt in my mind that man is going to come down with a vengeance.
Okay. Do you think that
I called 2 times. My family should have never been in this position. I called 2 times, once yesterday, once today, and I'm asking for a detail down here for 2 hours. If that's something that you guys cannot do, I will gladly escalate the situation. This is ridiculous.
What do you mean by escalate the situation?
I will go to the media. I will do whatever I have to do to ensure my family's safety, my brother's safety here, and 2 firefighters that are here. If his family comes down, they are absolutely going to be doing something.
Okay.
And if you're saying there's no resources for this, it's insane.
If you need a detail, I can put a detail out.
I will not be paying for a detail given the circumstances of this. You can bring this to the chief. Please bring it to someone, because I am not paying a cent for this. This is ridiculous. Given the circumstances and the escalation of this situation, providing a detail and having it be your guys' idea is unbelievable.
We can provide a detail, but you're going to be charged for it.
I will not be charged for that. You know what? I am glad this is the 3rd time this is happening, because when something does happen at this location, it is going to be all on that department. Once again, this is unbelievable.
Justin, when he gets there, just call us and we'll send an officer over there to keep the peace.
That's not how it's going to go down, but thank you for your time.
No one showed up to confront Justin. Once again, the pattern persisted. Fear and paranoia overrode all logic and reason. Then, Justin brought her laptop to his parents' residence in Stowe, Massachusetts, where it connected to his family's Wi-Fi network. He accessed her Facebook and Gmail accounts, gained entry to her bank accounts. He withdrew approximately $5,000. He accessed her medical records. He accessed her beneficiary information. He cancelled her travel reservations and then redirected funds to his own account. He returned the laptop to her home at some point during Kelsey's 53-day hospitalization, which means he made a second unlawful entry, likely once he realized Kelsey was not going to die.
Breaking news here at the Live Alert Desk. A North Andover police officer issuing a lengthy statement from her hospital bed this afternoon after being shot by a colleague she is accused of trying to kill. Officer Kelsey Fitzsimmons is facing one charge of assault to murder. Prosecutors say she pointed a gun at an officer after she was served a restraining order on June 30th. In her first statement today, she says she was suffering postpartum depression weeks after giving birth. She says when police arrived to take her infant son, she became distraught and pulled a gun, intending only, she says, to take her own life. Part of her statement this afternoon reads, "My firearm was never pointed in any direction other than my temple. When I pulled the trigger, my gun did not fire. However, I immediately got shot in my chest by my colleague and friend." She goes on to say, the narrative that has been released by the North Andover Police Department is vague and non-committal for a reason. If body cameras were worn, I would not be in a position where I am wrongly accused. The Essex County District Attorney tells Boston 25 this afternoon the facts that support the charges against her will be shared in public at her arraignment, but when that will happen isn't clear. Her attorney said earlier this week Fitzsimmons remains hospitalized in grave condition.
The state's Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission also decertified Fitzsimmons on Monday.
On August 7th, the Massachusetts State Police placed Kelsey under arrest.
Hi, Kelsey. Hi. My name's David. I'm with the Mass State Police. I'm a sergeant with the DA's office. This is Cam Ortiz. Just so you know, I have a body cam on. So unfortunately, we have the police under arrest today. We're gonna call your attorney so he knows. And then we're gonna try to get you arraigned via Zoom as soon as possible. Alright. I'm sorry this is kind of a shock, but
what about the test tubes?
Something's gonna
Not
change.
going anywhere.
Yeah, you're staying here. You're gonna get arraigned from your bed. All right. Either we're gonna do it from my laptop. I don't know. The tin might come down here. Might do it from my cell phone, but all right.
Kelsey was arraigned from her hospital bed via phone. She was held on dangerousness and ordered to go to jail as soon as she was well enough.
We don't believe that Kelsey pointed her gun at anyone except herself.
Our real goal is to make sure that she is heard, that the truth comes out about what really happened here, and our client is innocent.
On August 15th, the defense's bail petition was heard in Essex Superior Court. Kelsey was once again arraigned from her hospital bed. Judge McCarthy Nunan left her civil session to preside over Kelsey's bail hearing. This was highly unusual and suggested she was taking an unhealthy interest in the case. Unsurprisingly, she denied bail, and her conduct behind the bench would become more and more bizarre. On August 25th, the Essex County DA sought a high-stakes indictment for armed assault with intent to murder, which carried a potential 20-year sentence. But the grand jury rejected that theory, returning a no-true bill after finding insufficient proof of an intent to kill. Instead, they indicted Kelsey on the much lesser charge of assault by means of a dangerous weapon. Which means they were utterly unconvinced by Officer Nunan's story. This decision dismantled the state's attempted murder narrative, shifting the case's focus toward a mental health crisis. By failing to secure the top charge, the prosecution saw the maximum potential prison time plummet from decades to just 5 years. On August 28th, the judge found her dangerous, but allowed release under house arrest and scram alcohol testing. And on August 29th, After 2 long months, major surgery, and weeks recovering from a collapsed lung, Kelsey was finally released from the hospital. But she was not allowed to go directly home. Instead, she was taken into law enforcement custody and held at the Western Massachusetts Regional Women's Correctional Center in Chicopee while she awaited her formal release on bail. After 3 days, she left jail under the supervision of her mother. But she quickly discovered there was a problem. The defense filed a medical notice, stating that due to her chest wounds, she could not physically breathe deeply enough to trigger the scram device. She desperately wanted to comply with the order, but physically could not. And on September 11th, Judge McCarthy Nunan heard the defense on Kelsey's breathing issue. Her conduct at this hearing would shock the public and draw far more attention to the case.
So I received a defendant's emergency motion for immediate release from the scram order. So I'll hear from the moving party.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. Judge, this is an issue that causes Ms. Fitzsimmons a lot of pain. And I don't want to conflate her being able to pass the test because she's been passing them, but she has about 4 hours of pain and dizziness afterwards. And you know, I don't think anyone, and I know the court would share my thought that this shouldn't be a torture device for her. This shouldn't be something that causes her pain, impairs her rib healing, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, we're not trying to get any sort of advantage over anything. We just want her to not, A, to not be in pain for hours after these tests, and B, you know, we just want her to not have the anxiety that if she has a difficulty doing it, that she's going to get a knock on the door and get locked up. You have Mr. January's email regarding his own observations about what happened.
Mr. January is Kelsey's probation officer who witnessed her struggling in pain to take the test. The defense submitted an email from him acknowledging the issue, and he is present in the courtroom for this hearing.
And, you know, I think that says it all. That's someone that has no bias or interest, and, you know, probation enforces court orders, and that's that. And he is telling the court this is a problem.
Okay, so you're asking the court to adjust the court's order that's been in effect for 3 days with no medical evidence to support your claim that she cannot do it.
Well, I think you have 2 affidavits and the email from probation. I think that's pretty persuasive evidence that this is extremely difficult.
The email from probation is not evidence. If you have any evidence, now is your opportunity to submit it.
I don't understand the court's position. That's not evidence.
Okay, it's an email. It's hearsay. Commonwealth, do you have a position as to the submissions of an email as evidence in this hearing to relieve the defendant, Ms. Fitzsimmons, of a condition that's been in effect for 3 days?
I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but we have the person who sent that email here.
Okay. So you have a burden, it's your motion. What do you want to do?
Well, Judge, I don't think that I mean, is the court saying that papers and emails and affidavits are not sufficient?
This is an email from a probation officer. The court gives that 0 weight.
The judge's determination that the email was not evidence would later become a central factor in her removal from the case. You can hear in attorney Tim Bradle's response that he's caught off guard by this.
Well, then you have an affidavit from Ms. Fitzsimmons and you have an affidavit from her mother of the physical observations of what happens. You know, I think it's self-evident and it's common knowledge that if you have broken ribs, that it's hard to breathe.
What evidence do I have that she has current broken ribs and that she's suffering from broken ribs at this time?
Well, you have an affidavit from her mother, you have an affidavit from Ms. Fitzsimmons, and the other day we were here, I submitted I believe I submitted the instructions from Mass General about broken ribs.
Okay.
You know, she's having great difficulty here. It's been observed by probation, it's been attested to by her mother, and it's been attested to by Ms. Fitzsimmons. So it's just a very difficult scenario for her.
The defense's request is not unreasonable, yet the judge appears personally invested in making Kelsey's situation more difficult. The probation officer speaks next about his observations.
She answered the alert to take the test as scheduled. Unfortunately, she was unable to complete the test because she was unable to blow as long or as hard as needed to complete the test. So We also know that, and I observed it firsthand, that whatever the injuries are, which I don't know, and actually doesn't really matter to me, but when I was doing the installation process and observed what was genuine pain, like genuine pain. So I know.
Any objection to any of the terms used by the probation officer? Okay.
So
McCarthy Neyman invites the prosecutor to object, but he doesn't. Not even the man whose job it is to convict Kelsey appears as biased against her as this judge.
And she ultimately passes the test. That's compliance. If she had missed the test, and then that would determine whether or not there's actual non-compliance. This particular case, I don't deem non-compliance because she's complying with the scheduled program. I'm aware of pain based on my observations from the installation process. So as long as she's attempting to take the test, continues to attempt to take the test, and then ultimately takes the test, that's not non-compliance. That's someone that's,
well, that's your,
to me,
that's your position. That's non-compliant.
Well,
it's really up to the court to decide whether somebody's compliant or not with conditions of release.
it would never be brought to court by way of a pretrial violation for an incomplete test with the information that I've talked about. So no, an incomplete test does not initiate a pretrial violation or from our end,
Right.
because there are many reasons for a test to be incomplete. That's not intentional non-compliance. And the goal is to test to ensure that the person's sober, and that's not, we don't deem that non-compliance. We never have, and we never would in this case.
Mr. January deserves recognition here. Public trust in Massachusetts courts has been eroded by egregious conduct, like what we see from McCarthy Neyman. Voters are sick and tired of the corruption. So when a probation officer simply states the truth, it stands out. But now she's angry at him too, which will become evident in just a moment.
Attorney Bradle, do you have anything else to submit?
Judge, I would just offer, I respect and I heard Your Honor's take on the probation email, but for the record, I would move that into evidence as well. And I just want to also...
Commonwealth, do you have a position as to the admission of the email?
Well, I think we just heard what the email.
All right, so the email is excluded. Anything else, Attorney Bradle?
No, my objection, Your Honor.
Sure.
Judge, I just want to clarify something. My email, and I know it's important that the court knows, I didn't make a recommendation that the scram condition be vacated. I never did that. I never suggested, is all that email was.
Attorney, Officer January, nobody's asking you questions. Your testimony is complete. Are you asking to make a statement to the court sua sponte?
If the court's under the belief that I recommended that condition be vacated or removed, then yeah.
I haven't said anything one way or the other, sir. We're here for one purpose and one purpose
Okay.
only, and that's for the motion to vacate the scram device. So Ms. Fitzsimmons is able to do the scram, is that correct? Or is she not able to do it? I don't know. Is she not able to do it?
I think, that depends on whether the court is willing to tolerate that the material represented in the affidavit.
The court is not tolerating anything. Okay, let's be clear. I'm not tolerating anything. The court is not tolerating anything. Ms. Fitzsimmons is a defendant. In lieu of incarceration, my order was that she submit to scram. If she cannot do that, I need to know that. Can she do that or not?
She can do it.
Okay.
Under the terms that are laid out in the affidavit.
So you're saying she can do it on her own terms?
With significant pain and dizziness and having to recover for several hours.
I understand what you're saying. It is certainly not the court's intention. It's not the court's position to have Ms. Fitzsimmons in any pain at all. So I appreciate your argument. Do you have anything else to add?
I would suggest, Judge, that I think there's other ways to do this. If the court wishes to have her tested for lack of alcohol, that's completely fine with the defense. But just the means that's being employed is kind of a torture device for her.
Okay.
And so we object on due process grounds to that.
Oh, okay.
But
it is not this court's intention
I understand
to torture Ms. Fitzsimmons at all. The court's goal is to make sure the community is safe and Officer Nunan is safe. So I hear you loud and clear that the defense views Ms. Fitzsimmons having to do the scram as cruel and unusual and torture. Is that your position?
Well, that's an Eighth Amendment position. I suppose that can be put in there as well. But Judge, I think that, that there's probably other alternatives that she could do that I believe are out there but I know that might step on the court's other order for house arrest, that you would have to go to a facility. I know there's like urine tests and other things like that. So I know there's other possibilities out there that, again, she's not trying to use this to create a situation where she can go drink alcohol.
Okay.
That's not at all what this is about. So I just want to ask the court to consider any other alternatives that might not pose this type of an issue.
Okay.
Thank you.
Attorney Gubitosi or Attorney Moriarty, do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay, I'm going to leave the bench for a few minutes. I'll be right back.
The judge leaves momentarily to consider the request.
Court, all right. Goes back in session, is it?
Your Honor, we're back on the record with the Fitzsimmons matter.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So I have reviewed everything again that's been submitted to me. And I will state for the record that Fitzsimmons has moved twice in a 3-day period to amend her conditions of release. Just days ago, the court concluded that the condition of remaining alcohol-free and submitting to scram monitoring was necessary to ensure the safety of the community. After a thorough review of all of the arguments and submissions by the Commonwealth and Fitzsimmons, that conclusion remains unchanged, regardless of Fitzsimmons' claimed physical limitations. Based on an affidavit submitted by Fitzsimmons' mother, the testimony of Assistant Chief Probation Officer Jeff January, about his observations of Fitzsimmons' apparent pain during the scram installation, and the representations of Fitzsimmons' counsel that it would be cruel and unusual punishment and torture to continue to require Fitzsimmons to comply with the condition of being monitored by scram, the court concludes that Fitzsimmons cannot abide by the condition of being monitored by scram. Without this condition, which ensures that she does not consume any alcohol, the court cannot assure the safety of Officer Nunan and all other persons in the community. Accordingly, the court's prior order of release is vacated, and Fitzsimmons is ordered to be held without bail pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 276, Section 58A. And a written order will follow.
May I address the court?
That's the court's order. Thank you.
All right. All right, Jack, I ask you to stay your order pending the SJC. And there are other alternatives Your Honor can accomplish.
Kelsey was ordered back to jail. The next day, Judge McCarthy Naiman filed a formal complaint against the probation officer, accusing him of colluding with the defense to manipulate the court. The defense cited this as proof that she wasn't just making a legal ruling, but was actively working against the defendant. In an urgent appeal to the Supreme Judicial Court, the defense argued that Judge McCarthy Naiman had overstepped by forcing a breath-based monitoring condition on a defendant with a documented collapsed lung. The motion for recusal went further, alleging the judge had abandoned her neutrality by conducting an undisclosed private investigation into Fitzsimmons just 24 hours before the hearing. She had apparently walked down to the probation department all on her own and asked questions about Kelsey, a serious violation of the Code of Judicial Ethics. The defense characterized her dismissal of the probation officer's observations as deliberate suppression of evidence to justify an impossible bail condition. Instead of dealing with the issue directly, the SJC rendered it moot, stating that Judge McCarthy Naiman was no longer scheduled to hear Kelsey's case. This gave her an easy out, without having to address any of the troubling questions posed by the defense. Like, what is her relation to Officer Patrick McCarthy Nunan? Why did she repeatedly leave civil session to hear Kelsey's case? And why didn't she disclose her ex parte meeting in the probation office? Regardless, it was clear to the public what had just happened. The Superior Court judge had just done Judge McCarthy Nunan a very big favor. But at least Kelsey was released from jail, so she could begin preparing for her upcoming trial, due to start about 1 month later. On March 26th, after a 4-day trial, Kelsey Fitzsimmons was found not guilty. Judge Jeffrey Karp determined that the Commonwealth failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Kelsey ever pointed her firearm at Officer Nunan, and stated that if police departments implemented body cameras, this entire ordeal could have been avoided. If you would like to support Kelsey, the link can be found in the description. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And to support my work on videos just like this, become a member at patreon.com/microdots.